We got a theistic caller. Let me go ahead and get to that. Chibi in Texas is on, has a question. Welcome, Chibi.
Hey, Matt. I just wanted to say before we get started, I think it's really saddening that you've essentially made politics a new religion.
Well, I think it's really sad that instead of actually having a conversation, you seem to think that I've made politics a religion when I haven't. There's nothing about politics that makes it a religion, either left-leaning or right-leaning. What it is I live in a world, and there are people who run that world, and they are elected, and I get to participate in the system. I can be one of the electors, and I can be one of the elected. It's not at all a religion. There is no pronouncement from on high. I'm stating what my positions are and what I'm willing to support and what I think is right or wrong. So
Okay.
What a weak way to start. What else you got?
Yeah. Well, that's fair enough. That's not what I called in, so I'll accept that. I did want to talk about what was your position on your soteriology when you were a supposed devout Southern Baptist. Were you Armenian or a Calvinist, or were you provisionist, or were you something else?
Why would you say supposed devout Southern Baptist?
I'm essentially doubting how devout you were.
Well, why should I bother talking to you if you're going to start off by, first of all, claiming that my political interest is religion, and then begin by challenging my integrity on... Did you watch the debate that I did with Mike Lacona?
No.
No, you should go watch that, because during the Q&A, a gentleman gets up and identifies himself as a deacon who went to church with me when I was in the youth group at that church, who was convinced that I was going to go on for great things for the Lord. So I no longer need to defend my credibility to you or any other douche nozzle that calls in to challenge my integrity, because the people that I went to church with have flown around the world and across the country to show up at debates, to talk about how they knew me when I was a believer at the First Baptist Church of Harvester or at Gashland Baptist Church, and how they thought, as did my family and the other people, that I was going to be a minister, that I was going to be in the ministry, which is something that I also thought. Now, when it comes to the particular soteriology that I had at the time, first of all, I wasn't a robust, studied individual. I didn't go to seminary. My views on soteriology when I was a Southern Baptist, soteriology, by the way, is the theological prospect of what is required for salvation and the process of salvation and how you become saved and to and from and all that stuff. And so you're asking what version of it was. I was probably mostly Calvinist, but not exclusively Calvinist, because the churches that I went to didn't have the same concept of there not being free will that many Calvinists would advocate for. When it comes to things like provisionism, that's newer and wasn't really addressed. I don't even think I learned about provisionism until I was already an atheist, let alone that. And then the only other competing one with Calvinism is like what, maybe an Armenian type take on this, which I don't know that at the time that I was a Southern Baptist, if I would have been able to articulate the differences between a Calvinist soteriology and an Armenian soteriology. But what are you suggesting, that someone is not a sincere, believing Southern Baptist if they are unable to tell you whether their soteriology is Calvinist, Armenian, or provisionism?
I would say so. Yes, you would probably be very early in your faith if you can't articulate that. Yes.
So you're saying that someone is not a devout Christian unless they can tell you whether their soteriology is Calvinist, provisionist, or Armenian?
Most likely not, no.
Okay. Well, I don't agree with you. I think that's an absolutely ridiculous position to take. And I think if you went around, I think if you walked through every Southern Baptist church in the United States and did a poll, I bet the overwhelming majority of people in the pews couldn't identify what the different types of soteriology were, which one is which, because people in Southern Baptist churches don't study religions and other religion. We already
Right.
have the answer. This is not a college course on this. Southern Baptist
Yeah.
churches are filled with real people who walk down the aisle and accept Jesus into their heart because they're convicted over the notion of sin. So I find your statement to suggest that you're not a true believer and not a true Southern Baptist unless you can identify the difference between Calvinistic soteriology and Armenian soteriology and say which one you belong to. I find that patently ridiculous. And just, you've been, condescending from the start. Is there any other condescending crap you want to spew before I go on to somebody else?
Well, I mean, Christ tells us that there are many people in the church who,
Christ has never told us anything.
Die,
there is no Christ, and Christ has never told us anything.
okay, well, Christ told us that the church is filled with non-Christians and fake Christians, so we know this. Just because they're in the church, just because they claim to be devout, doesn't mean anything.
Chibi, do you think that just because, does the Bible mention Calvinism or Arminianism by name?
Well, Calvin died in
Does
about
it mention it by name, Chibi? Chibi, does it mention it by name? Yes or no? It's a fucking yes or no question. Why are you being difficult?
No.
No, it doesn't. And given the average Southern Baptist, when I was saying that they may not even know if their view is properly categorized as a Calvinist view or as an Armenian view, since the Bible doesn't mention it by name, if you go to a Bible-preaching Southern Baptist church, do you think there are Southern Baptist preachers, many of them, who are likely to stand up in the pulpit on Sunday and say, let me explain to you the difference between Calvinist soteriology and Armenian soteriology and why we should be this one? Do you think that happens frequently?
I would hope so.
You're an idiot.
Well, you won't gone to very good churches, obviously.
What's that?
You were not going to good churches.
Okay, that's a cool excuse that I wasn't going to good churches. Why should anybody care what Chibi thinks is a good church or what Chibi suspects is true about other believers? I'm willing to bet you, I'll bet you $5,000 right now that if we conduct a study that goes out and polls Southern Baptists on their knowledge and understanding of soteriology and which one they're categorized at, my suspicions about the results will be much closer to accurate than yours. You want to take that bet?
So why did you back out of your debate with James White?
I'm sorry, did you want to take that bet? Why are you moving on to another question when I'm sitting here pointing out that there's not a reasonable person on the planet, there's not a reasonable school teaching future pastors that is going to agree with you on this? So
well,
what's your
gambling
question?
is a sin, so of course I wouldn't. Gambling is a sin, so I would not take that bet.
Where does it say gambling's a sin? Where does it say gambling's a sin?
I don't know where it says it, but of course it's a sin.
Well, then you're not a true Christian. Only no true Christian could possibly come in and say that gambling is a sin without being able to tell me where it says gambling is a sin. You see how ridiculous you sound?
So why did you back out of your debate with James White, though?
I didn't back out of a James White debate for anything related to soteriology. James White was an anti-vaxxer. They were going to have an event where they were not going to follow the guidelines for protection from COVID, and I did not go because of that.
So you're not willing to debate him over Zoom?
I'm not willing to what?
Why won't you debate him over Zoom?
Because nobody asked me to.
Okay, we'll make a challenge to him then.
I don't make debate challenges, Chibi. I accept debate challenges.
Okay, well, I hope he challenges you one day, and I hope you accept.
Well, I hope that he does challenge me someday. And I hope that you stop making assumptions and looking incredibly foolish when you start saying that you were a supposed proclaimed believer and I don't believe you and all that. All you're doing is showing all your baggage. Why don't you debate me, Chibi? I've got multiple shows here. You can come on and debate your beliefs whenever you want. You can apply. You can go to the website. You can go to the website and apply to debate me whenever you want. Why haven't you done that?
I'm debating you right now.
No, you're not debating me right now. This is not a debate. First of all, it's a call-in thing. And second of all you asked was which version of soteriology did I ascribe to when I was a believer? That's not a debate. That's a question. See, that's why you're not going to debate me, because you don't even know what a debate is. You are unequipped for this.
I'm not going to debate you because you're uneducated on Christianity. Well, what is your preferred study Bible?
My preferred study Bible was the NIV, only because that's the one my dad had. But my personal. Okay, are you just going to laugh and make noises? Because I'm going to clip the hell out of this. Oh, you hung up. My preferred study Bible was the NIV because that's the Bible my dad used. But my personal Bible that I owned, that I did most of my actual studying in, was King James Version. I still have it. Matter of fact, I have multiples of them. But it's funny, Chibi, that when we got to this, you're like, I'm not going to debate you. Ha, 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 use NIV. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, Chibi, you're incredibly clueless. Let me tell you that as somebody, and my apologies, I guess, for everybody's pointing out a troll, and Owen didn't even get to address anything in here. The overwhelming majority of Southern Baptists, at a minimum, I think you're muted. That might have been, if you were trying to talk, I never saw it.
Am I muted?
Oh, now you're not. No, you're good.
No, yeah. No, it's fine. I didn't try to say anything. I did want to mention something, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'll wrap this up. So, I've been to multiple Southern Baptist churches for the entirety of my life. Most of the people who are in those Southern Baptist churches, when it comes to theology, are stupid. Now, I'm going to clarify this because I don't assess the entirety of someone's character as stupid. All of us say and do stupid things. All of us behave in stupid ways. I am repeatedly stupid. So when I say the bulk of people sitting in pews in Southern Baptist churches are stupid, I'm not talking about their IQ or their general knowledge of the world. I'm saying on matters of theology, they know what they've been taught in their churches. They know what they've read in their Bible, and that's it. My parents don't know anything about Dawkins. Not that they would need to. My parents don't know anything about Dennett. My parents don't know anything about arguments for the existence of God. They don't know anything about categories of arguments. They don't know categories of soteriology. What my mom knows is that Jesus loves her and died for her sins. That's it. That's all she knows. That's all she cares about. She wouldn't care if it was Armenian, Calvinist, whatever else. I can remember asking my dad, why are we this church instead of other churches at different times? And the deepest we ever got was, a discussion about why our church dunks when another church sprinkles. Chibi has a ridiculously overinflated sense of how much the average Christian knows and understands higher philosophical, theological stuff. This is the difference between Calvinism and Armenian and provisionism. These are things people go to school for. They're not discussed in churches. But anyway, Owen, what were you going to add? My apologies.
Oh, you're good. I was wondering what he thinks about me as a Jehovah's Witness. I mean, we don't really fit into that mold at all. I mean, an ex-Jehovah's Witness, of course. And also, the NIV Bible in his mind is bad. I mean, for scholarly reasons, it's bad. But for religious reasons, I mean, wasn't it translated by evangelical translators who kind of wrote their ideals and beliefs into it? It seems like religious people would be more into the NIV.
It depends. So the NIV is one of the more popular ones, and it's copyrighted and it's potentially expensive, which is why I keep one. And it's one of the ones I use that one because my dad did. We also, like I said, I had my King James. They're translated from different texts. There's the received text. There's the Masoretic, and I did a lecture once, but I don't remember all the specifics on all of them. But for the people who are advocating for the King James only, the AV 1611, not even in a new King James or modern King James or any of that stuff there. When I'm studying, though, I study a bunch of different ones. And as I mentioned before, I use e-sword.net with loads of Bibles there so that I can actually pull up Bible dictionaries and look up specific words so that I can see, Matthew 5:14. This particular word right here is G3735. It's oros. And it's probably from an obsolete word, rise or rear, perhaps akin to this one. And you can cross-reference stuff. So my actual study Bible is a collection of study Bibles done in an app that's designed for ministers and preachers. But my preferred study Bible, back when I was a believer, was the NIV that I got, that was fancy and new and had all kinds of information in it, because I was originally gifted a King James, and this didn't seem as impressive as the newer one. It's the old English, it just didn't resonate. Oh, that's what's wrong with Matt. Matt didn't go to the right church. Matt didn't read the right Bible. Who's still messaging me over and over again while I'm on the air? That's funny.
Yeah, my grandmother used the NIV also, so I have a copy. But to my knowledge, scholars say that the best version is the NRSV, or the most accurately translated is NRSV. Translated, I think, back in like the 80s or something. And it's really interesting to like go through the NRSV and look at how it differs from the NIV, for example. Like I said, that was translated by evangelical translators. Looking at the differences gives some insight into their beliefs and ideals and all of that stuff. It's just wild.
It's funny to me that somebody suggests I avoided a debate with James White for any reason other than the one that was stated. That was the only reason I even remember that debate was discussed, is they were going to do a gathering right at the beginning of COVID, and they were going to ignore all the social distancing restrictions and all that stuff. And, at the time, as always, I'm going to be advocating for the best scientific consensus and what the experts are suggesting while we're trying to figure out what's going on. And
yeah, that
so
reminds
I didn't do
me.
it.
Who is this guy?
Dr. James White.
What's his deal? Is he a Christian? Is he like
Yeah.
Okay, like an evangelical, I guess?
Yeah. Fairly popular. I don't know his credentials, but, just a Baptist theologian. I don't know much beyond that. But it's funny that they're like, their mentality is, why did you avoid this debate? Well, I did it because in COVID, it wasn't safe. And I wasn't going to promote people who were doing unsafe things. But Chibi, why did you run? And why did you laugh and hang up after telling me you didn't believe I was a real believer? My problem is I went to the wrong churches. And then you found your excuse that my problem was that I went to the wrong Bible. So you didn't make any case or argument for anything. You didn't present anything. You just asked some questions, laughed, and ran away. Aw, thanks for playing.
Productive.
If only you had been a somewhat decent representative for Jesus. If only you'd have spent even a second trying to actually have a conversation to reach this audience of thousands, to let them know how and why you know that your beliefs are correct. But instead, you decided to laugh and run away.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jimmy Snow. I'm the executive producer of The Line. And at night, I sneak into Matt Dillahunty's house and I trade his cereals for other cereals. He comes out and he's like, wait, these are cereals I buy, but I swear I had different cereals. Anyway, would you like to support this channel or any specific show? You can do so over on Patreon or in channel memberships. There are special tiers for special shows or for the channel at large, and it helps us expand programming as well as hopefully very soon launch it in podcast form. Now, also, if you'd like to support, you can like, you can subscribe, you can leave a comment or a super thanks, which is a special highlighted comment that you pay for. Those are fun. And, screw the algorithm, go check out something over here, I suppose. Boy, I hope I can still put those icons there, because if I can't, this is going to look really stupid. I'm going to go buy some Cocoa Puffs and switch out Matt's mini wheats now.